one piece of news we should mention here is Jimmy Howard. He's retiring, and it's making me really sad. Guys. Came out in headlines last night. You know, the Oilers.
I was actually surprised.
That's not even the best part.
Yeah.
No, we're not there. Yeah. So the Oilers need goalies because Mike Smith is on LTIR. I don't know what's going on with Anton Forsberg. He's been going at back and forth. Don't know where he's
Like
going to
3 teams already.
They signed another goalie, but there's a whole visa thing going on there, I believe. They're looking for local goalies in the markets they're playing in, like amateurs, to be a third guy. And Koskinen is not good.
Stuart Skinner was called up, I believe, right?
Yeah,
he was the third round
back
pick
up
2 years
last
ago.
night, I believe.
Yeah.
Because Smith
And-
is injured.
Yes, yeah, they put him on LTIR, because I mean, and it's Mike Smith. So the Oilers decided to call Jimmy Howard because remember they did try and get Jacob Markstrom, gave him an extra year, didn't go, and they had to go back to Mike Smith for their goaltending, along with Mikko Koskinen, who has termed. They do Peter Chiarelli. And Jimmy Howard said, "Nah, I'm liking it with. I'm got my time with the kids, my family. I'm gonna retire here." It's just really funny that the prospect, again, we've talked about this so many times, that playing with McDavid and the reigning Hart Trophy winner in Leon Draisaitl was not enough to be like, Jimmy, we can do better than 2 wins. Come here, buddy. It's just, I feel bad for Edmonton, and we'll talk about them a little later after the game against the Canadians last night. But
I'm trying to figure out this situation. Like,
you couldn't get Jimmy Howard on board?
Well, because here's the thing. So I was thinking about it. How Jimmy Howard said, he did want to play another year. I'm trying, and I'm like, okay, does he just not want to play, or does he just not want to play at Edmonton? Because if it is he does not want to play at Edmonton, that is extremely embarrassing. Yeah. This is 3 out of 3 now that they couldn't get done. They couldn't get done. They couldn't. OEL wouldn't even put him on his trade list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jacob Markstrom took what? Edmonton offered him 7 years. He went to Calgary for a year less.
Yes.
And now they couldn't even get Jimmy Howard.
Yeah. Again, the Oilers. Well,
think about that.
While we're here, we'll talk about them. They had an interesting start to the season. They traded wins with the Canucks. Now, the story that the first game was simply that McDavid was not on the score sheet. There were defensive breakdowns. Koskinen was not great, and the Canucks prevailed. Naturally, the second night, McDavid had a hat trick, and they sung all the way home. Next, fast forward to their game against the Canadians, and Koskinen plays his third game for reasons we've just sort of mentioned. The Canadians kept McDavid to an assist. Phil Deneau and Nick Suzuki was staple to him all game. And the assist was only because the Canadians fell asleep in 10 minutes and Slater Cuckoo sniped a goal on Carey Price. How in the world? There was a mix of the Canadians simply outplayed the Oilers after an early game rush, and there was a mix of Tyson Barrie had a fine game in the offensive zone, but there was a play where somehow he ended up on the half boards, lost his stick, ended up behind the net, and there was a scoring chance for the Canadians. And it seems to me, my early impression of the Oilers this season is they have not changed at all from last season. And Connor McDavid in the postgame was so fed up. So fed up. You know what? There was a nice little exchange when Price called him the best player in the world. By the way, I can no longer say McKinnon is because now that Carey Price has said that, I have to follow. That's how it works. So Connor McDavid said, yeah, and Price does his thing and he blocked everyone out, right? And I wonder, this has got to be the last year if they don't pull it around, right? For Connor? It has to be. Mm-hmm. And I know it's 3 games in, but looking at what that team has been since he got there and before he got there.
Imagine this. It's post-pandemic, cross fingers, post-pandemic, 2021-2022 season.
We got this, guys.
Cross my fingers here. Jack Eichel and Connor McDavid are on different teams. Imagine how crazy that would be. And it's it's a possibility. It's a possibility. It's insane. But
Anyone can get traded.
anyone can get traded. If Wayne Gretzky can get
Yeah.
traded, anyone can get traded. That's the
Mhm.
mentality. Yeah. The thing with Edmonton, and I always had this theory, but I wasn't sure of it last year because of Draisaitl. If Connor McDavid isn't on his game, and I think the same can be said if Leon Draisaitl isn't on his game, I don't feel confident at all in that team. And this isn't me having a thing against the Oilers. This is just me like watching this team. And I've said it before. I don't trust their goaltending. I don't trust their defense. Like their defensemen to play defense. I think Tyson Barrie is a great addition if you're thinking, hey, we need an offensive defenseman. I was wrong last year when the Tyson Barrie trade happened, and I was happy about it, I guess. I was completely wrong.
I remember Chris
I'll admit
Johnson
it.
was very happy too.
I think most people were happy because he seemed like an upgrade.
Right-handed defenseman, which first of all on its own is such a luxury.
Right.
Not to mention there was a thing of he had just become Colorado's leading defensive scorer of all time. Great personality, which a lot of people were saying is going to be great for the room.
So what did they do? What did they do to improve? Because I don't think their weakness was up front. Their weakness was depth, and I think they kind of addressed that, right? I think Turris and Dominic Cahoon were great ways to kind of fill the depth and whatever. Josh Archibald was still playing on the first line last night.
He was.
What the hell?
I did not notice him once.
What the hell? What? I can't be the only one who's confused about this.
No, I'm right there with you. And like Turris, I noticed him. He had a good look last night. He almost got he had a pretty good scoring chance. But even on it's just not what they need. It's like if I think like the Oilers in their zone still scare me, and their defensemen, I'm just still not. Like, there was a really, really set of bad bounces there on the on the Oilers when they were on the penalty kill. There was a point where Petrie comes in for a shot, bats it down, goes through his Koskinen legs. He can skate around to the other side of the ice, goes like behind the net, and he's left wide open to get his own rebound. Now, was it a fluke that it completely went through Koskinen's legs? Yes, but then you have the two of them just puck watching the crease, and there's just no awareness. And then there was, I'm trying to remember what the second one was. I'll come back to it, but it was like Ethan Bear is letting himself get pushed in towards the crease, has his ass turned towards Koskinen, Petrie's shot goes off of his butt. So like just the awareness of some of their defensemen, and Ethan Bear is a fantastic defenseman. It was just a real mess, and it was, again, there was a time when McDavid got around Edmondson, and obviously I just screamed, no, please don't let this happen. Luckily, McDavid was stopped by Price because he played lights out last night. But it's just such an Oilers thing that if that goal had gone in, it was probably Canadiens were going to win the game anyway. But it would have been a much, much different game. But again, that's it. It was the only real look they had last night was Connor McDavid. And again, I didn't notice that much of Leon Draisaitl either. And it's just the moment those two are out of the game, they're out of a factor, and normally they are always one. But if you've got a good pair of shutdown players, then the Oilers aren't a threat.
I think that's the thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
So sorry for interrupting.
I'm done.
But it's what we've talked about before, and I think there's two things. There's this expectation from what Edmonton has that certain players, not named Leon Draisaitl or Connor McDavid, are going to play above every night what they're kind of capable of. And we've talked about the defense without Oscar Klefbom, where, it was kind of spotty even with him in the lineup, but to take out their best defenseman is already something that it just looks like patchwork here and there. And when it comes to that offense, I think it is still that identity. It's still, all right, let's build off of, our two guys' success and see what we can do. But when that's not there, they just don't know what other options they have. And I completely agree. Josh Archibald, first line, Kyle Turris, I thought that was a solid signing, but again, it's just these guys that you expect to play above what they can produce. And Edmonton's done this so many times. If we think about Andreas Antanasiu, Andre Sekera, I remember when he got that big contract, expected to be a top defenseman for them. It's just the reoccurring thing about, okay, what can we throw at McDavid and Draisaitl and see what sticks?
Adam Larson scored the other night. I think it was like the second Vancouver game. It was like, attaboy! Like, you shouldn't be cheering at the wall that Adam Larson finally got himself a goal. And like, I feel terrible for that guy. I was happy for him, but it's just that's the sort of bar that the Oilers are at. And people can go on as much as they want about the fact that McDavid and Draisaitl are themselves tertiary scoring. But the moment you shut that one player down, then it just exposes your depth. And when you go against a team like Montreal, who their identity is the 4-line system, then all of a sudden you have half of your offense that just can't stack up.
It's the argument that in hockey, a player can only affect so much.
Mm-hmm.
In a sport like basketball, LeBron James could literally play the entire game if he wanted to. That's just not possible in hockey. So there's only so much Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl can do to possibly affect the outcome of a game.
They can't play defense either.
Right.
In front of the
that
goalie.
too.